Going back to Iraq, I knew that if I were to make it out alive with most of my faculties, that I could not live in my comfort zone. That if all of these people that were perhaps more deserving of life than I did not make it, and I was able to come home, I needed to give life my all.
This episode is brought to you by the Arts Council for Monterey County. What makes life feel real? It's expressing yourself, finding your people, and using art to heal, grow, and be heard. The Arts Council for Monterey County, Arts for MC, believes the arts benefit everyone. They bring art into schools, community centers, and public spaces, and support students with scholarships, workshops, and programs like Poetry Out Loud and Youth Poet Laureate. Whether you're an artist or just looking to be inspired, your journey starts here. Learn more at arts4mc.org. That's arts, the number 4, mc.org. And remember, they're also proud sponsors of this podcast. So thank you to the Arts Council for Monterey County. What up, what up, what up? Welcome back to Offline Expression. I am so excited to be here with you people today. I am your host, Jeff Hinderside, and we are back. As always, today I am not next to my youth co-host because my amazing ambassador has to go to school and I have to schedule great interviews when we can, but she always wishes she could be here with us. So a shout out to Victoria Jones as she's crushing her sophomore year day by day. But fear not, I have a wonderful guest with us today, Logan, D. Logan. Go ahead and tell us what the D stands for, and go ahead and tell us the full name that you like to be introduced by.
Dean Logan is my name, but being in the military, we go by our last names quite a bit, so I just like to go by Logan.
Oh, that's fair. That makes a lot of sense to me. I love it. You know, at first I thought it said Dr. Logan, so I had put that in my calendar and my show doc and all the things, and I was like, wait a second, that's D, not Doctor. Oh my gosh, that would have been embarrassing, or I don't know, maybe not. Awkward. Yeah, awkward. Exactly. You're like, not a doctor, but thank you. Well, welcome. Do you prefer to be called Dean or do you just go by Logan?
Logan, for sure.
You got it. I love that. So Logan, oh my gosh, I'm so grateful, first of all, that you are joining with us because your story is powerful. And it's powerful for a number of reasons that we will get into. But the first one I can say is, you know, when there's inspiration in the world, anything inspiring, I think, is cherishable, right? So when people are willing to put themselves out there and share what they've been through and use it as a catalyst to help others, it's like there's this altruistic sense. And I know that you don't do it necessarily for that reason because look at me. No. But what I'm saying is people need to hear that. People are going through this stuff that you've been through right now. And many don't make that. They don't make it. They don't get past it. So having a voice like yours come in and say, hey, you've made it through every hard day of your life and you can do this and you will. So let me help and tell you how I did it is really commendable. So thank you so much from the bottom of my heart for being here.
Thank you for having me, my friend.
So with that, let's talk a little bit about you, man. First of all, tell us a little bit about what you do right now, and then we'll kind of go backwards and see, you know, what led us to that point.
That's a great way to start. So I am a freelance live television events director for broadcast. I specialize in sports and sports highlight shows. Over the past 10 years, I've been a part of some amazing sporting events. I've been a part of the Super Bowl in 2020. multiple World Series. Right now, I'm doing a ton of tennis, so I've directed actually multiple French Opens, multiple Wimbledons, Australian Opens. I think I've done 5 or 6 Australian Opens. So, sports, concerts, corporate events, those are my bread and butter. Anything live. I wouldn't have it any other way.
Oh my gosh, my son would be going nuts to meet you. It's like the world he lives in and wants to be in every day. And wow, what an awesome life. So were you just a part of this last World Series? Were you around for that?
No, I wasn't. I did the 2017-2018 World Series when I was a part of those productions, but I did watch a little bit of it, and those guys are awesome. Like every every year the technology just gets more and more cool and amazing, and they're so precise. These teams and productions are just out of this world.
Oh man, I couldn't agree with you more. There was some moments in there where I thought to myself, especially for baseball, right? I know we're getting off on a totally different tangent here, but especially for baseball, one of the human elements of sport that's over 100 years old, the American pastime, is the fact that there is a human being as an umpire who is capable of making some mistakes, and their judgment calls are subjective to them. And I think it is really great that we still have that. I know there's been a lot of talk about, let's replace them. You could put a bot back there. You could put a little screen, a little box. You could tell exactly whether it's a strike or a ball, but they still have a human being back there. And I think that's part of the game. But then when you have these close calls, the technology that you're talking about, the amazing camera work, the teams that are behind the scenes doing things in the moment, they really are doing hard work, and it's incredible.
It's it's kind of interesting, this human element that's kind of going away, and as it appears, it looks like in a few years, perhaps those live umpires will be the way of the dodo. But um, oh, it's a bittersweet kind of melancholy, like the human element, and just these great moments that we've had in the past, albeit maybe not people's finest moments. Yelling in the umpire's face and just flipping over bases and stuff. It makes for great television. The Matt Lou Piniella and oh my goodness, some of those great managers. Oh my goodness.
They've had their moments for sure. And I do know what you mean. Like, not to flip on what I just said, but it is aggravating if you are the team that has the bad call go against you, for sure. It hurts. Yeah, exactly. The human element has been a part of it forever, and that's they're playing too in a lot of ways, right? They're in that game. And you know what? I'm a Giants fan, so it's very hard for me here in Central California to see the Dodgers go and do what they're doing. But I can be compartmentalizing with my emotions, and I know that they're an incredible team. And to come back in the deficit that they were in and have a game 7 for the history books right out of nowhere, props to the Dodgers, props to Toronto. It was really wonderful. But all of that is to say, there are a bunch of people behind the scenes, and you rattled off a list of a ton of really amazing big productions that are in live television. And so sports, it's the only time that many of us still watch commercials, right? Because you're watching that game live as it can be, whereas everything else is streamed now. So it's amazing how much that is a coveted advertising marketing space, right?
Absolutely. And there's a reason, well, between sports and award shows, those are the top tier for premium ad space. And uh, it's interesting. It's interesting to kind of see the evolution of streaming versus, taking one step back from that, the DVRs, and one step back, the old school TiVos and VCRs, all of that fun stuff. So, but nothing replaces live events, particularly live sports.
Yeah, I totally agree. I mean, the only other thing I think I can think of are things that are connected to holidays, right? Like the Thanksgiving Day parade, and
Sure.
maybe a hot dog eating contest on the 4th of July. You know what I mean? Other than that,
I might argue those that's kind of a sport. So,
totally. Yeah, I mean, hey, ask Joey Chestnut. He'll tell you.
oh yeah, big time. He trains. He trains hard.
He trains hard, man. Oh my gosh, that just made my stomach hurt a little bit. But
Yeah, like
on
not in a
that
good way.
note, Yeah, no, I mean, hey, I don't know how you do that. There's certain sports out there where you're like, how do you know you're good at that and then get better at it?
Eating hot wings or something, you know?
Or like the people that do those big dives in the Olympics, in the Summer Olympics, off those boards and do like 3 flips and all these things into water. And you're like, when did you, like, how many bad jumps, how many hard backflops did you have to do to get to that amazing calculation of a dive? You know what I mean?
I imagine they're just A, perfectionists and B, adrenaline junkies. I can't imagine any other way to be that you, like, get a thrill out of that crazy, insane, just, "You know what? I gotta get back up there and do it again."
Yeah, the dopamine is king, right? You
Oh
got to
my god.
get it, chase it. Well, okay, we went on a big old tangent there, but I love it. I don't talk about sports as much on the podcast, so I love that I get an opportunity to because I just wrote a book about being both. There are so many people in the world that have multiple skill sets and they like this, but they also like that. I do ballet, but I also play football. I do, you know what I mean? And they seem like such opposite ends of a spectrum, but it really is important to lean in to the things. If we enjoy them and we like them, enjoy them and like them.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Creative outlets are important. And, both having, I'm an adrenaline junkie myself, and having both the high intensity, like roller coasters, go karts, and, whitewater rafting balanced with meditation. And, I also I used to be in a touring band and I played saxophone, like having those really mellow, creative, beautiful moments. That's all a part of life.
100%. Oh, that's cool. Well, I mean, just add it to the list of your accolades here and the things that you've done. I mean, what an experience. First of all, it's amazing to me how many things have gone away in the digital world, right? Like there are still bands, there's band class and music programs at high school levels and stuff like that, but I feel like knowing somebody who plays saxophone and is in a band and travels to do it feels like it's rare. But you're from Chicago, right?
I am originally.
There's a lot of beautiful, wonderful music that has come out of Chicago in the history of that beautiful city, right? Where do you live now?
I'm currently in Vegas.
Oh, cool. You're not a Raider fan, right?
No,
Oh, phew.
no.
I was about to have to cut this thing short. No, just kidding. Um,
That's all the time we got.
yes, yeah. Well, thank you. I mean, we talked baseball and now we got to football and we're done. No, bolt up, by the way. Okay, so let's talk about your journey a little bit. So now you're in live broadcast and TV production, all that kind of stuff. And, just for our listeners' edification to really understand just what that means, are you managing people in different jobs and tasks to produce, or are you a part of a specific area that is your thing that goes into the big picture, like a cog in that machine? What exactly do you have the ability, like, what do you do? How does it work?
That's a great question. So my job entails working with a producer who has kind of a big picture vision for a particular production. So let's say it's the World Series just happened. So let's say we want to focus on, um, you know, um, Otani's history, coming from Japan and working his way through, getting that contract with the Angels and then finally making his way to the Dodgers. They might have that overview that they wanna hit in the pregame show, for example. I would actually use the cameras to tell this story. So I would say, "Okay, we want a handheld to go low and shoot him up and have that big, beautiful hero shot at the end of this package of him, getting off the plane at LAX, being welcomed by Dodger fans, having that first press interview. I want that big hero shot with him, the lights in the background, and the Dodger Stadium on this side. Next, we're going to dissolve to this camera." So I actually call the cameras live, inserting graphics, going to replays. I actually call all of those things live in the moment as we're on air. So some of the things are rehearsed in terms of My camera operators know what I want to see during certain moments. So, for example, if there's a pickoff throw, I don't have time to verbalize, hey, go to the first baseman and push in tight. They know when they see that pitcher take a move, I'm going to take camera two because they know we don't have time to talk about it. That's just going to happen. I'm going to say two, take two. My technical director knows, et cetera, et cetera. So, all of those things kind of come together in the moment as a live symphony. Our graphics personnel are making sure that the stats are right, the names are spelled right, the numbers are exact. Replay operators know, okay, we don't want this look, we want this look to show that the tag actually touched the player and his foot was also on the bag, those types of things. So, yeah. That's kind of what we do and we obviously there's a lot of people that work together and we're all listening to each other, we're all feeding off of each other, we're selling each other things. I'm in constant communication, sitting next to a producer, sitting next to a technical director, and we're all working with, sometimes 60, sometimes 100 folks to make a production go off flawlessly, but that's the nature of the beast. We love it.
Wow. I can't really explain the range of emotions that just put me through. Um First of all, what a cool job. What a really cool job. Like you said, you're an adrenaline junkie before, and that is, it reminds me of live theater in the sense that like you're up here, the job is going, like you have to be watching, paying attention, focused, know what to do, skilled, confident to make the calls in those moments. But you also have to work well within your team and understand the holistic view of everything. There's so much that goes into that. I am so floored by that. That sounds like such an awesome job.
I love it. The fact that I get paid is just a cherry on top. But you mentioned live theater, and I would be remiss if I didn't shout out my high school theater teacher, which she kind of started the whole journey. Leanne Morris, I love you. I adore you in Chicago, wherever you are. She planted the seed. She saw a little nerdy kid in high school that didn't really fit in with anyone. And she's like, maybe he would find a home in theater. And I fell in love with the tech theater side, and I've been a behind the scenes kind of nerd junkie ever since.
Oh man, that's beautiful. That just got me a little emotional. Yeah, I mean, I can't express how much gratitude I have for my high school theater teacher too, Paula Balakian. Shout out to her. She means the world to me. We're friends to this day because of the fact that, like you, what she saw was a kid, and she saw right through the facade and the surface of all the things, and was able to have real, honest communication where real good drama teachers, I think this is a very important thing. They are already working in such a vulnerable space where you have to kind of really break some things down and take some things on. So they just for the most part, have a really good communication style that makes young people feel important. They talk to you like an adult. They're not just, you're over there, we're just getting by. No, 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 no. They're not trying to just, let's have a cute production for the family, for the community. No, you have the power and the ability to do this and create that, and just, there's an empowerment that comes from that. And it sounds like we had a similar experience with that. So I'm glad you said that. And so theater, right? You kind of had this moment in way back in high school, and it only really takes one person sometimes to alter the course of our own confidence, self-esteem, and skill set. And it sounds like that happened for you.
Absolutely, absolutely. Um, and when I share my story, it'll add more context, and I'll just kind of dive right in. I grew up in a bit of a religious cult, and it wasn't necessarily like Waco, Texas, with barbed wire and a compound and things like that, but it was more of the mindset. As a child, I wasn't able to, uh, you know, speaking of sports, growing up in the '90s, peak Jordan era in Chicago, I wasn't allowed to watch sports. I wasn't allowed to play sports. Uh, I wasn't allowed to eat chocolate or watch cartoons. It felt like there was just so much that made me different from everyone else. We didn't celebrate holidays. So, no Easter hunting, no Valentine's Day candy passing out. Like, I wasn't allowed to go to gym class. It was really difficult for me. And as a result, kids can be brutal. And I was bullied a lot in high school and in elementary school, particularly in elementary school. And I was an only child. My mom suffered from mental illness, and she was bipolar. She was anxious. She really struggled, but she wanted the best for her little boy, and made sure that I went to a really great school, even though I had. It just felt like I was swimming upstream the entire childhood.
Wow. That's a lot, man. I'm sorry to hear that, and obviously you've come to terms with it, and things have changed at some point, and we're going to go there next. But um, I every time you say something, I'm like, oh my gosh, we have a lot more in common than I think I originally realized when I read bios and looked through your website and stuff. But yeah, when you're ostracized from a social group, that is hard enough as it is because we're social animals. But a congregation and a faith-based upbringing can't be everywhere a child is all the time. And the school is most of our world in our childhood. And there are other children going through their stuff, and they can be brutal, just like you said. So when you're already being isolated because of your own family and your tribe or whatever, that is a really, really hard place to be. I grew up in a religious situation very similar. I don't know that it was quite as bad in terms of being able to watch sports and eat chocolate and things like that, but certainly no religion or no holidays, birthdays. Can't join the sport over there or that group over there or that group over there because it's extracurricular activities with people who are not in the same faith. And man, it definitely did a number, and it does its damage when it does. So how did you, okay, what happened after that? So your mom was struggling. You're an only child, so was I. And now you go to this high school level, right? And so like I imagine as you get to adolescence, if elementary school was brutal and bullying, it probably just carried into middle school and high school, right? So what transitions started to take place that led you on the next part of your life?
So, I on no other podcast have I talked about theater, but that was kind of one of the elements that got me through high school, something to look forward to. I had a small core group of friends, but as an only child, I wanted to have that big, robust friend group and feel surrounded and supported. And I didn't really have that. And as a result, I felt, I remember being, between 17 and 18 years old, and I was suicidal. I just wanted the pain to end. I just wanted to stop being different from other people. And it wasn't like I wanted the fanciest shoes or clothes or anything like that. It was more just, ugh, I just wanted this pain to end of being different. And theater was a great outlet, but I knew that I needed to kind of, for lack of a better term, make really drastic change in my life. So I decided to join the Air Force and pursue my dream of flying. At the time, I wanted to be a pilot. I used to lay in the grass in my backyard as a small child and watch the planes fly into Midway, Chicago's Midway Airport. And I would think, you know, man, I wonder what cool adventures they've just done, or where they gone, where are they going? Like, I wanted that. And so planes represented freedom for me, and I wanted to be a pilot, so I joined the Air Force. Um, Long story short, tested well, my eyesight was too poor to fly. So I did not pursue that dream, but I was still able to be a part of some amazing missions throughout my 12 years being in the Air Force as an airport operations manager. So, 2 tours in Iraq, lived all over the world, Alaska, Belgium, Korea, California for a stint, had an amazing met some amazing people, and as I mentioned, worked on some amazing missions, humanitarian efforts, and all sorts of great stuff. But um, going to Iraq, there's there's nothing that can really prepare you. Yes, we go through training, seemingly endless training, uh, but the mental warfare of being attacked, 7 times a day from, small arms, mortars, artillery shells, it's tough, and your brain wants to somehow make sense of it, and it wants to kind of place it in the bucket and remind you that it's going to be okay and you're gonna be safe, but your rational mind knows that that's really not 100% reality because you see bodies being loaded onto airplanes daily. You see, buildings being exploded or bombed out. And, unfortunately, I know many great people that have passed along. And it's like, okay, how do you reconcile this? How do you create some sense of normalcy for 6 months while being attacked and facing your mortality every day? And as a result, when I came back from Iraq, I was not present at home for my family. I mentally was still there, and I had not fully processed all of the mental trauma from my childhood. So that on top of that, it was kind of a recipe for disaster, and I found myself once again suicidal.
Wow. I'm First of all, thank you for your service. I know that seems trite after that that list of things. My grandfather was in the Air Force for 22 years, and so good for you. I think that you made a good decision on saying, "Hey, I'm going to go and try this thing." And I'm so bummed for you about the pilot thing. Um, that must have been kind of a crushing blow in and of itself. But it sounded like you were able to pull yourself up by your bootstraps in that regard, and then just push forward and do some other amazing things. So that's great. Active
Absolutely.
warfare. My goodness. I cannot imagine the intensity of that. Like you said, I think you said it perfectly, facing your own mortality every day and then trying to somehow have some positive self-talk about it's going to be okay, but your brain knows even when you're lying to it, but it can be tricked in some ways and start to feel better, like it's going to be fine, like we can de-escalate our emotions, but when you're watching people that loaded onto planes and things are blowing up around you and yet you're kind of lying to yourself because you don't really know what's going to happen and saying it's going to be fine, I'm going to make it, take it one day at a time or whatever. That's a tough place to live because the brain can only take so much when it's locked in fight, flight, or freeze. When your amygdala is just ringing constantly saying we need to be in self-preservation mode, you exhaust some of our natural tanks, right? Like, because your adrenal glands go, your pituitary glands talking to the endocrine system, your eyes are dilated, your mouth is dry, your stomach hurts. Like, you're just in that place for so long, it overwhelms. So coming back from that, I think you said it in your bio, I was there, but I was not really like fully alive or something of that nature. And that had to be so intense. So how long, once you returned from being overseas and you were back with your family, how long of a time period was that? I mean, I suppose it was a PTSD symptoms and such, right? Like, I don't want to put those words in your mouth, but how long were you in that space where once again suicidal, and how did relationships uh manage under that type of intensity?
It was incredibly difficult. Um, I came back and I wasn't present with my marriage. I wasn't able to even go to a restaurant with my family without, watching the doors and watching everyone in the restaurant, and just that hypervigilance, that heightened state of things are not okay, even though I was back home stateside. I went through a divorce about 5 years after I came back from Iraq, and I was still battling. Even though the month I came back from Iraq, I was in therapy. So I was seeking therapy. I was trying to do the work, but it had not yet clicked for me. And it really took me going to rock bottom kind of again in life of I turned to the bottle. I was drinking every day. I was at that time I was living in Belgium, and the divorce was, full speed ahead, and it was apparent that the relationship wasn't going to work. My 8-year-old daughter was just a mess. I was a mess. I was an insomniac. As I mentioned, living in Belgium, in a country where I didn't really speak the language, I didn't have a great support system around me, and I needed to hit that rock bottom in order to kind of snap out of it. And how that looked like for me is it's kind of a beautiful moment. I remember walking to work at 3 in the morning, drunk as a skunk, um, and contemplating suicide. And I decided that if I were to kill myself, that my daughter, my 8-year-old, would have an example of what it's like to not fight. She would know that that is an option, and her dad took it. And that did not sit well with me. That was an unacceptable option for me. And as I sobered up on that walk to work, I decided that I was going to not only not choose that option, but I was going to pursue my dream of directing live television events. I was going to pursue my dreams and goals and show her what it looked like to fight through adversity and do something that no one in my family dreamed was possible. And I proved it to her. I proved it to myself that, you know what, life is worth fighting for. And just because you might start really low in a really difficult place mentally, that is not how you have to end.
Wow. Good for you. That is rock bottom for sure. And you made the right call. And you know what? There is something so important, a bottom line, a poignancy to some of that stuff that you just said. And the bottom line is sometimes we aren't in a place where we can love ourselves, and that happens. And that's okay as long as we can latch on to something that maybe we love more than ourselves. Even if it's just temporary, that'll do the trick. I know a lot of addicts who have been through things and they just cannot seem to, you think that rock bottom is it, and then there's another and so on. But finding something you love more than yourself, and you cannot stand the thought of them picturing you in a certain way, describing you in a certain way, or being so badly let down by you, great, use that. Use that. If that is the motivation that helps, then that is a great motivation. And there couldn't be a better one, honestly. So, if your 8-year-old's popping into your mind in this horrible, sad moment where everything's on the line, your life is on the line, and making that choice based on those realities is so huge, man. Good for you. I'm impressed by that. A lot of people don't make that choice, and so we see a lot of sad outcomes from that. But not you, not you. So wow. That must have been quite a revelation, especially because then you said that you went from, okay, I made it through that moment, but now I'm going to decide, what am I going to do? Not just, I'm not going to do that. but now I am going to do this. I mean, the amount of effort, strength and effort that has to happen with that motivation has to be super intense. How did you turn everything around and right that ship?
You know, every person in life is presented with a choice, and sometimes it is a spark that we latch onto and we pull that thread and we follow that rabbit hole and see where it leads. And sometimes we don't. There's choices either way. I think it is for me, it was important. I knew that the amount that I was drinking, I don't think I slept a full night in a month. If that, there was, it wasn't sustainable for my career. I was tearing myself apart, ruining the relationship with my daughter, even though, I didn't allow her to see that side of me, but it wasn't sustainable. And I knew either it was going to encompass me and take me, or I was going to take control. And going back to Iraq, I knew that if I were to make it out alive with most of my faculties, that I could not live in my comfort zone. That if all of these people that were perhaps more deserving of life than I did not make it, and I was able to come home, I needed to give life my all. And I didn't do anything. I had it in my heart, but I didn't do anything with it until that moment. Until that moment when I was walking to work and I realized that not only was I not going to hurt myself, but I was going to lean in the other positive direction. It all culminated in that moment. It's like, I get it. This is how I'm going to do that. And that's kind of how it made sense to me.
Right. That's amazing. I mean, wow. I know that you know, it sounds like you had a lot of things going on all at once, and most people do. And we know, in the world of mental health, when people are struggling, um, there's so much comorbidity, right? Like you can have high symptoms of major depressive disorder, high symptoms of generalized anxiety disorder, and then in an attempt to numb the pain of those symptoms, a lot of people end up with alcoholism or substance abuse disorders because they kind of go hand in hand oftentimes, which is one of the most cruel tricks of fate, right? You're already dealing with something so hard. And by general definition, you want to get away from those feelings. So we try to mask or we try to numb. And there's an avoidant tendency that comes from forget it because that's all self preservation, right? Push everyone away because I'm not worth it is what we're really saying underneath it when we're in those real low times. So to pull yourself out of that is there's some remarkable things that have to happen with a human being and their brain and their thought processes to even have that be an option. It's amazing. But what it does prove is that people can do it. There are ways that we can get through some horrible stuff, and you have such a beautiful example of that. So, okay, you get through that moment, right? You're in Belgium. Your divorce is coming up. That's a done deal. Um, how did you start off? What did you do when you were like, I'm going to go and pursue this dream, and I'm going to really set a good example for my child, and I'm going to make sure that relationship is strong. Okay, I know the goal. Now what's the how? How do you do that? What were your steps?
You know, I circling back to childhood, I learned a lot of mental resiliency in growing up in the religion and being the only one sitting out in recess and in gym class. And uh, so much and so that going through basic training was kind of fun for me because I realized the mental games that they were playing. So I kind of just applied some of those skills that I learned there as a child, along with the skills that I learned in the military about discipline and strategy to achieve my goals. So Kind of a long story short, I cold called hundreds of people. I emailed thousands of people in the industry while I was still living overseas. And guess what? That led to nothing. I moved to LA and I had no network, no contacts, no nothing. And I just said, okay, I am going to attack this like a military strategy takeover, like this is a war game. And I strategically placed myself in places that those people that I wanted to meet would be at. I networked my face off, and soon enough, I had one opportunity. I ended up working for free for 6 months just to prove my name in the business because I had no name and I was younger than most of the people. I was 30 when I changed careers. So I worked for free for about 6 months, and then when I remember looking in my savings and I had $200 left, and I said, "Okay, you proved yourself enough. Now time to start getting some money." And from there, it really took off. Word spread that I was a hard worker. I was a veteran. I was sharp. I was willing to be the first person in, last person out. At 30 years old, delivering coffee to, 18, 19, 20-year olds and, with a smile and asking questions and being proactive and doing the things that other people didn't want to do. And guess what? I climbed the ladder. People saw that I had fire, I was sharp, and I am very thankful that I've gotten some very beautiful opportunities from people, and I was able to show my skill set. Don't get me wrong, I definitely fell flat on my face. I mean, in this industry, you will make some horrible mistakes because it's live. You can't go back and say, okay, we're going to do that one again, and we're going to make sure it's perfect this time. It's going out for, hundreds of thousands, if not millions of people to watch. So, but yeah, that was my process.
What's up, all you expressionists out there? Do you need reliable IT support and more for your business? SPJR Computer Consulting delivers comprehensive solutions tailored to small and medium-sized businesses. From seamless technical support to professional website design and effective online advertising, we keep your budget in mind. Don't miss out. Visit spjrsolutions.com today. That's spjrsolutions.com. Your business deserves the best. Wow, man. For what it's worth, Logan, I will be your friend forever. Forever. Absolutely, 100%, man. I'm feeling you so much, dude. And also, my grandfather, who I told you was also in the Air Force, he taught me from a young age. He's credited with a lot of the work ethic that I have. I have repeated that phrase over and over and over again. Be the first one there, be the last one to leave. He was always the one who said, if somebody says, hey, we've got a project, who would like to take it on? Get your hand in the air. The answer is yes. What's the question? Like those little mental, stances that kind of give you a heuristic on how you're going to approach something really go a long way. And when you prove yourself like that and you're dedicated to it, that's behavior change, right? That's a habit building process. And it's actively visible to anybody you're with. They see it, they know you're reliable, and therefore, especially in LA, right? Not what you know, it's who you know. So once you start knowing those people and they know that your name's in their mouth, opportunities are going to start coming, and they obviously did. But I really love that mental attitude because that is something that I can't express enough when I'm working with young people, when I'm directing children's musical theater, or I'm teaching psychology at Hartnell College and I'm talking to students, and there's just this sometimes a sense of apathy, right? The digital malaise, the almost willful ignorance of I'm already a victim. I don't even know what the situation is yet. And there's a constant push. I'm like, look, not only can you do it, I know you can, you must. You must. And if you change little things, the big things start to change and you will start to see yourself differently. And if you don't become best friends with this person in here, they're never going anywhere. It's going to be loud up there and it's going to be a long, hard life. But you got to find a way to become friends with this person. And you do that through little things like that. A mantra, right? I'm going to do that because I said I would, and now that's just how I do it all the time. And you fall into your own belief system, and it elevates you so much. And this sounds like it's a perfect example of that. You are a true hero, my man. You are the bomb.com. I'm telling you.
I'm just a guy, brother. I'm just a guy.
That's what somebody like that would say. So proving both points. Okay. So
I wanna add a tip for your listeners as well in that mindset of, meditation and mantras, gratitude, living in a state of gratitude. You might not have everything that you see people on Instagram or on TV have, but you do have a lot to offer. I mean, even living in this country, we are so many more steps ahead of, nothing against other countries, but we have privilege here. And it doesn't matter your situation. We have privilege just by being here. By having breath in your lungs, we have privilege. And so if you start there, sometimes it's going to be tough getting out of bed. But if you focus on the little steps of gratitude, I promise you, it will propel you to see things in a more positive light that you haven't seen. And you will be able to accomplish those things that maybe you're struggling to accomplish.
preach. I love it so much. You just reminded me we've had there's like this really cool energy going on for us right now. I'm feeling this through line, um this important message coming through. We had a couple episodes ago we had the Love Doctor, Anil Gupta on, and he talked about gratitude. If you have a life of gratitude, it's a life of love, and things just change around you. And then we had a couple of friends of mine were here, and they just went on a Rotarian trip over to Uganda and built some beautiful structures, and were with these amazing people in this village, and they came back and were so shook by the fact that there were people that had nothing. Material was not a thing that they had. No shoes or one pair of shoes or whatever. And they were so happy. They were genuinely happy. They had a mindset of gratitude. They loved what they had. They weren't compared to everything else in the world. And these high school students were like moved to tears, couldn't get through their presentation because of the fact that it was such an eye-opening culture shock in a positive way. But that is exactly what you're saying. The gratitude for what we do have, it just changes our mindset so much. And then meditation, being able to give yourself grace. You're not perfect and you won't ever be perfect. So knowing that and then letting
Get
yourself off the
over
hook, get over it and move on. It's a new day. Let's go. I love that. Okay,
Absolutely.
so I'm looking at your website, okay, and I need to know. So you get to this point where you 6 months of free work, the savings account takes the hit, and now you're at a place where it's kind of almost like a new make or break moment, right? You need to get some work, and you could work part time somewhere and keep doing what you're doing. You could just throw all your chips in the middle. How did you make that first jump and get into this career to where you end up launching into Logan Unlimited and all the things that you do now?
So, in terms of directing, I made the commitment to myself and I made the commitment to my daughter that I was pursuing this dream. And she saw me going through the hardship of, being really at the top of my game in the Air Force and then starting this new career and kind of starting completely over. Um, I refuse to give up on that. I refuse to, because there were many options where I could have gone to civil service or government contractor work. I could have taken some options and had a great paycheck. But I wanted to prove to her, you can do anything you put your mind to. And in that process of actually achieving my goal of directing, and now kind of, now that I've been in the industry 10 years and I'm on this side, I've taken a step back and coming from that little kid that got bullied so intensely and was, I remember walking out of church, looking at the trucks go by and thinking life wouldn't be so bad if I killed myself at the age of 17, 18, to now. How did I get here? How was I able to fight through all of this adversity and still come out on top in so many aspects of life? And I realized digging deep into neuroscience and neuroplasticity, contrary to what our parents taught us, you are not hardwired. You are not the person that you were born, and similarly, our identity, what we say about ourselves, can change. If you if you understand how the brain works, the power of positive thinking, the power of negative thinking, the power of manifestation, all of these things will work together in your favor if you choose, if you understand how the subconscious mind works and the conscious mind, and how to take control and not let that subconscious mind get off the rails by watching, you know, 8 back-to-back episodes on Netflix and scrolling endlessly on TikTok and all that nonsense. Um, if you allow yourself to understand how your brain works, then you can use those things to your advantage. So I took my time and I learned neuroplasticity, neuroscience, and then applied that how I subconsciously applied it, I might add, with military strategy. The Air Force has a 90 to 95% success rating for most of its missions, and using some of those strategies to apply it to your life. I use that to help small groups, and I'm a personal integrated growth strategist for individuals hoping to achieve more. And if they're feeling stuck in life, how to get past some of those hurdles using discipline, using neuroscience, using military strategy to help get you to your goals. And, some of the change that's happening and that I'm seeing, it's really beautiful, the things that people can accomplish when they put their mind to it.
Man, there's so many things you just said. Okay, right before we got on this interview, I was teaching a class, and the chapter my students are working on right now is about the development over a lifespan. And we were talking about, Piaget's different stages and Eric Erikson and all these people that had these theorists, Vygotsky and social cultural, all this stuff that impact growth and like the change in stages in life. And one of the things I was talking about was how if you understand that your brain changes and you go through like myelination, and there's things that become, you go from being okay at something to good at something to mastering it to being an expert, and we're capable of that. But you also, you could change your identity, can change who you were at one point. You may look back and go, wow, that's amazing, because I didn't know what I know now. And you might need to understand that in 10 years from now, you might know more things that you don't know right this moment, and not be afraid of that. You have to embrace that change. And if you know, just like you said, how the brain works, how neurogenesis really works, how myelination works, how mastering something and focus and attention through strategic habit building, like you're talking about, you build that and you follow through. There is no limit to the amount of things you can acquire, you can obtain, the amount of knowledge you can do. Like all of that is so important. I'm so glad you said all that, man, because that is the number one most important thing that every one of our podcasts, every single thing we do, both of us seem that we do, it really comes down to that. You can do anything. You just have to know how your brain works, and then use it to your advantage.
Absolutely. Repetition, repetition, repetition. No one was born in life excelling. No one, just like, one of the things I love to tell some of the clients that I work with is when we're a child, you expect when you hop on that bike that you're not going to be perfect. You're going to take some falls. You look at it and like, okay, and your parent is like, okay, guess what? We're going to start you on a tricycle. And when we take the training wheels off, we're going to do it in the grass because you're going to fall. We just want to help pad the fall, right? Um, as we become adults, we lose sight of, guess what? Going into something that you've never ever done before, you're gonna suck. You know? It's
Yeah.
okay. It's perfectly okay. Even you don't hop into a car driving it like, an F1 superstar. You take time and you're gonna be nervous and you're gonna slam on the brakes too hard. You're gonna step on the gas too. It's okay. But as adults, we think that we're somehow, now that we're adults, we're entitled to being perfect now. And that's just not how life works. If we take our ego out of it and realize learning takes time. If if you're learning a new computer program, if you're learning any new skill, it takes time. So repetition, repetition, repetition. And yes, you will get better 100% because that is how the human mind works.
That's right. Yeah, I told you a little while ago. I just wrote a book that's coming out in spring, and it's literally got all the neuroscience, a little bit of the science, a little bit of my story, and all of that, like we're talking about. But one of the things I've created is a simple method. It's just three letter acronym, and all of it is surrounded by repetition, 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 and then built in grace for when you don't when you fail. If you fail, that is a part of succeeding. Just like relapse is a part of recovery. People know in certain areas that you are going to be bad at something the first time you try it because that's part of a learning curve. That's how you learn. That's how you get better. And then don't punish yourself forever. Okay, get back on the bike and try again.
There is absolutely. There's a difference between falling and failing. Failing is never trying again, but
Mm-hmm.
falling, we do it all the time. And that's expected. As long as you're falling forward and you have the understanding of learning from your mistakes, guess what? It's okay. It's okay. Nobody is gonna judge you, and guess what? Yes, we're the most strict, harsh critics of ourselves. However, that's okay. If you gotta control that brain and control the things that we say about ourselves to ourselves when we're by ourselves and our self view and our self model of the world, but it is okay. And giving once we realize that we need to give ourselves a little more grace, uh life changes for you. I mean, when all of fans at home, listen, if you apply these tools in your life that Jeff is giving you, oh my goodness, you'll be unstoppable.
Ooh, thank you. I mean, we would make a dynamic team, man. I'm telling you, you're saying some things that I'm just like, man, I really love that. It's always good also to find new ways sometimes to say things because I find that some people learn when they hear it one way, whereas others might not get it that way. But you say it in a different way, or maybe reframe it a little bit, and oh, that's the one that clicks. So I love having people on that kind of understand the same through line, but maybe worded a little differently. I'm like, oh, that's a good way. I like that. But you know what? Right. You fall sometimes. That's not failing. So, all right, Logan, where are you now with, you said that you are, and I'm going to make I don't think I'm going to pronounce this right or say it in the right order, but integrated strategic planner, like coach. What was the title again?
A personal integrated growth strategist. So as as I like to see it, we don't live in a bubble. And if you are struggling with your, let's say, finances, that means that maybe you don't show up in your personal relationship the way you might want to because you're stressed about this other thing. Or maybe you're gunning for this promotion and you get passed over and you can't figure out why. And because your professional life is not where you want it to be, that means you're not able to achieve some of your finance goals. Or you're gunning so hard at work that guess what? Your nutrition and your movement isn't doing so well. So I have multiple pillars in life that I look at in terms of when I help people, and we assess in kind of quote the wheel of life, all of these pillars, uh, personal dynamics, professional dynamics, communication and relationships, um, wealth management, and legacy. Your nutrition and health. And one of my favorite pillars is fun, because as adults, we forget to have fun and have that creative side. So a lot of times our wheel kind of gets staggered because we're focused on uh, maybe the professional element. And there's seasons in life, but you have to be okay with what we're giving. And there's a certain amount of, we should not undervalue or neglect certain parts of ourselves, even though we're leaning into our career. So, for example, you might be leaning into your career, but guess what? You still need to eat well. You still need to move your body. You still need to have a creative outlet, because if you don't have all of these, so as a personal integrated growth, I make sure that you're feeling fulfilled in all of those pillars of life, because some people, they segment it so much, and there are skeletons in our closet that we're avoiding that we do need to look deeper into, so that we can figure out, okay, maybe if we make a little adjustment, that you will be happier in your relationships, you will be happier in your personal life.
Right. Yeah, balance, right? It's about balance.
Out.
As soon as you lean on one pillar too hard, too much of a good thing could also be detrimental to others. And so you laid that out perfectly. That is so important, especially in today's day and age where things are so fast and the digital world has us really connected all the time. And there's some beautiful things about that, right? You can check your email while riding on the subway, and then check your online banking and then buy something on Amazon. And so there's a lot of ways that we can use that sort of thing to our advantage, to where we're making the best use of time sometimes. But also, if you're sitting on a lunch break, take your break, right? So there's that other piece, like you're talking about, the self-care part, that you don't want to be too far out of balance just because technology can help you do a lot of things. What are you sacrificing for the productivity in one area? So that type of strategy is so important in the digital age. So I'm glad to hear that you're doing that. That's awesome.
Absolutely, absolutely. It's so important to, particularly at mealtime, and we're present with the people that we're with. Even when you're showering, you know, take a moment and calm your mind. Be present and thankful that, what, you have the hot water and it's cleansing you, not, you know, 3 meetings into your day. That's not going to help you. Be one step at a time and control that mind, control that subconscious from getting off the rails.
100%. Well, wow, man, your story is so inspiring, and I'm so grateful for your time. How could how could our listeners learn more about what you do and who you are? Where can they go to get involved in some of this educational stuff and what you do?
Absolutely, absolutely. I'm on the socials, Instagram, TikTok at the Logan Unlimited, and my website is the same, theloganunlimited.com, because I want everyone to be the you unlimited, the you version of unlimited. And once when we collectively find that ability to kind of be free and unlimited in our thinking, uh, we're going to be unstoppable as a society.
Yes, I love it, and that's our goal, man. That is our goal, right? Like, how can we be a catalyst for a healthier society? And it starts with people, and people. We need to value ourselves, and I love your website, like that, right there, really big, all in bold, capital letters. Your limit is a lie. I love that.
That's my keynote address.
I knew it. I mean, it just pops right out. And especially things like you're not broken, you're becoming who you were born to be. Boom. That is when somebody else believes that before you even believe that, that in and of itself, it's like being in a hole and not being able to get out and somebody reaching down with their arm and helping pull you up out of it. And if that's the work that you're doing, man, that is extremely good. Like, we need more people that are doing that stuff in the world. And people also ask for help. It's okay. Often need help. And the difference between one person and two people can be everything. That's 100% more help, right? That's good.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Reach out to Jeff and myself. I mean, we'll be your new best friends. Hey, we're here to support, we're here to help, we're here to listen and not judge because trust me, if it's a way to fail, I've probably done it a few times.
Yeah. That's well said, man. Yeah, exactly. Listeners, please take us up on this. You know, before we wrap up, I think I told this story at another interview, but I just want to share because I kind of feel like it resonates. But I was working with a group of kids and we were playing a game of freeze tag. And this one kid he just could not get around to everyone before the others were unfrozen behind him. Like 5 minutes go by and I could see him getting discouraged. And so I paused and I said, okay, now I'm going to join you. The two of us are now it, right? Within 40 seconds, we had everybody frozen. And I was like, so here's the deal. I had your back. You were watching mine. They couldn't get away fast enough to unfreeze people. And that is the power of one person coming to help you. And it's not because you weren't doing a good job. It's not because you aren't good enough. It's because you were against the odds and there's more of them. One extra person is all you needed. And as soon as you had help, you smashed your goal quickly. So let that be a lesson. Reach out. If you can't do something, that's okay. You're not expected to be perfect. Get some help. Reach out to somebody. Talk to someone. Give yourself that grace and then go back at it. Hit it again and try again. Right?
Absolutely. We all need a little support and, accountability goals, someone or accountability partner, someone to help you, coach you. Nothing helped. I'll tell you, nothing helped me more achieve my goals. Obviously, I had the work ethic and I was willing to do whatever it took. But having a mentor that had been there and done what I was trying to do, because I'm willy-nilly in this kind of fog and darkness of trying to navigate an industry that I didn't know. But having a good mentor that really is like, okay, you want to take that opportunity and here's why, will change the game in any situation.
Yes. Yes. Mentors, super mentors, like Eric Koester says, man, super mentors. And being a mentor is a gift. Talk about being grateful, right? Like you work with people, I get to work with people, and it's my favorite thing in life is working with other people and watching them have their aha moment and rise to the occasion of their own potential. And it is remarkable. So I'm with you 100%. Well, listen, Logan, I have taken up a lot of your time today, but I am just so grateful for you, my friend. Thank you for sharing your story and thank you for being here with us. And I hope that we stay connected, man. I'm going to definitely be following you on all those socials you listed.
We will. We'll definitely connect it. Anytime for you, brother. We'll do this again.
I love that, man. Thank you so much. Is there anything I missed? Anything that you needed to add? Anything we didn't talk about?
Oh, I think we covered it and some.
Yeah, we even got some sports in there, man. We talked World Series. Oh my gosh, that's new for me, man. I love it. So
New podcast.
Oh my gosh. Here I go. Watch out. My ADHD is going to take us right to that. In 2 weeks, you're going to be like, how did I end up here talking about? I'm going to Vegas.
Let's go.
All right, man. Well, thank you so much. You have a wonderful rest of your day, sir. And we will be talking very soon.
Same to you, my friend.
Awesome.